Hello and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy Tuesday. It is How to Tarot Tuesday, and what that is a video series where every week we discuss one card from the 78 card Major Arcana. What we do first is in the beginning of the video, we spend about the first 20 or 30 minutes talking about the symbols of the card in question. And then the second half of the video, you, the viewer, gets to choose from one of 3 tarot decks. The tarot decks that I choose always have the best, what I deem to be the best representation of the card that we're talking about, of the card we're discussing. And the first deck will always be the Rider-Waite-Smith. After you choose your deck, I'll go ahead and do a spread that talks about how the card in question manifests in your life. These are universal readings, so if you come across the reading at any time, the messages might pertain to you. And anytime you want to jump straight to your reading, the timestamps are always in the description box below, as are the names and the authors of the decks and materials that I use. So today is a special day because today we get to talk about a really fun card. It's a real energetic and happy card, and given that a lot of the events in the world right now are still pretty sad, I'm glad to be talking about the card today, and that is the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands, in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, you see that the card shows a rider, someone wearing a red cloak, which represents energy. He is riding a horse, and the staff that he is holding holds a wreath of victory. The horse that he's riding is wearing dressage that is green, which usually means growth or some kind of vitality. And it looks like it's some kind of victory ceremony that the person is coming home from battle. On the rider's head, he's wearing a laurel wreath, which usually means, victory as well. It means someone was crowned as having won the battle. And in the background, you see people holding the other 5 rods, but they are at a lower level than the 6th rod, which is carried by the rider. The horse doesn't seem to be, leaping or bounding. He's walking slowly. So the entire image looks like one of a parade or someone coming home after a time of conquest. So the Six of Wands is in short, it definitely means triumph. It means acclaim. It is having your day in the sun. And the beauty of the card is that the 2 other decks that I got the Vice Versa Tarot and the Jane Austen Tarot. But when you look at it, just about every single tarot deck that you see, it kind of echoes the Rider-Waite-Smith in the fact that you have somebody who is riding a horse of victory, and he's coming home from battle. Now, with the Vice Versa Tarot, there is no formal card back. The back of the card is seen as the card being in its reverse, and it actually has an image on the back that we'll be looking at in a minute that talks about, the Six of Wands in reverse. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But definitely when you look at it, you see a lot of golds and reds. You see a lot of warm coloring, right? And a lot of red typically represents the sign of Aries. It means passion, it means vigor, it means energy. And what it definitely means is that it's walking away with the prize, right? It's like coming home from something that you really worked hard for. So, it doesn't, in a lot of the cards, it seems to mean like it's someone coming home from battle. But in the more modern sense, it does definitely mean that you've won, right? The Six of Wands means that whatever you were putting your energy towards, wherever all of that red passion was being directed, you are victorious. Now, the other thing is that you can see with him being high on the horse, and that, you could take it that way, being high on your horse, and we'll get to that in a minute. but you see that this person is riding a horse while everybody else is walking, right? So it definitely means like an elevated victory. It's not just, the Six of Wands definitely doesn't mean just like a petty, oh, okay, pat on the back, you did it. It's like a full-fledged, you know, you worked hard for this, you got the full honors, right? So in that sense, it really does mean coming out on top. It really does mean a very clear conquest, like whatever you set out to do, you did it in spades, and you are getting recognition for it. The other thing that you can see is that, you know, when this card comes out in the spread, and you know, again, we read these cards in a more modern context, you know, no one is really going to battle wearing armor. But a lot of times it really does mean that maybe you received a compliment from someone, maybe you got called out, you know, like not called out in a bad way, but you were kind of put on a pedestal of victory by your boss or by your family member. Maybe you did something that was a real, you know, that others look up to as being, you know, being a hero, as you know, being a leader. I can say that with a lot of world events, you know, a lot of as each of the states, I can say from, I live in North America in the United States, as each mayor from each state, each governor from each state is handling, you know, the virus that's going around, the way that they're leading their state, you can see that when you see them on the TV, you see a lot of people at a lower, you know, not at a lower level, but kind of standing behind them. And that's what you kind of think of when you see the Six of Wands. So you could very well be a leader. If you see the Six of Wands next to the Emperor or next to a king, you could definitely get a strong, you know, reinforcement of that image. The other thing is that when you look at it, it can definitely be in that same vein of being acknowledged, you know, someone, you know, kind of, you know, tapping you and saying, okay, you did it, good job. You know, it's definitely earning applause for something that you did. If you see this next to a Pentacles card, it could possibly mean that you earned a raise or you earned some kind of commission for a really tough job. The other thing is that when you see the Six of Wands, it doesn't necessarily have to be a victory that you're aware of. It could be a victory that you're not aware of, or one that's coming soon. And so when you see that come out, so like in a relationship sense, if you see this next to a Cups card, maybe you feel like you're not getting anywhere. Maybe you feel like you're failing or something, and then all of a sudden the Six of Wands comes out, and you think, okay, wow, maybe this is more of a victory than I anticipate. You know, the other thing is that it is definitely saying, again, in that same vein, that the recognition that you're longing for is yours. So sometimes if you see the Six of Wands next to the Wheel of Fortune, again, maybe you're not seeing, you know, you're not getting the accolades now, but you will. And it's something that is yours, you know, it's something that you've earned. If you see it next to Justice, it could be a legal battle that you know that you're, you know, it's kind of this universe's way of saying, yes, you will get this. This is going to happen. You know, there's no way for this not to happen, right? And that's what's so exciting about this card, is it's almost like a guaranteed victory when you see it. But the other thing is it's also having healthy self-esteem. It's like feeling like you're the best, like knowing that you did a good job and that you're worthy of this praise. The other thing is that it could be, again, in that same relationship context, it could be that, you know, if you're asking about a person, it could be that this is what this person wants. You know, there's just like if you're asking the cards in a business context, you know how a lot of employers, when they get to know their employees, they might ask, okay, what kind of positive reinforcement do you like? You know, do you like having days off? Do you like, you know, words of praise? I kind of think of the 5 love languages, right? But when you see this, and especially if it's describing a person, the 6 of Wands definitely means someone who likes to feel like they're important, someone who likes to feel like, you know, like a hero, right? Like someone who likes that praise. They need it, right? It's important to them. And then the other side of it is that, you know, it is in that same vein, it is a lot about pride. And again, as we get to the 6 of Wands in reverse, we'll talk about how that can be a negative manifestation. But again, it can be about being able to hold your head up high. So it could be a situation that, you know, again, if you're asking the cards about a person, maybe it's someone who accomplished something and they're proud about it. Maybe it's someone who got all A's on their report card. It is about having a high opinion of yourself, you know, and just knowing that. The other thing is that if it is in like a sports connotation, you know, maybe it can be knowing that you're the best. You know how sometimes when you see football players get into a huddle and they start hitting each other's helmets and they get themselves jazzed up, it's like, okay, you're the man, right? And that's what I also see when I see the 6 of Wands, is it's like saying, okay, you're the man, right? You're the man. You're it, right? You're it. You're the thing. Now, in the last card that I picked, and I went ahead and went with the Jane Austen Tarot, and in this scene, it's a really powerful scene because what it is that you see the 2 Bennet sisters watching as Mr. Bingley, led by Mr. Darcy, they're riding away, and what it was is that they had proposed. Each man had proposed to each of the Bennet sisters. So the 6 of Wands, or the 6 of Candlesticks, basically means that it's that pride. It's like, okay, she said yes, right? And again, it can be a very relationship related thing, you know. So they're riding away as the victor. And they're being looked at like they're the hero, right? They're the hero of the story. The other thing is in Pride and Prejudice, you know, Mr. Darcy had made amends for his wrongs by, you know, coming clean about all the events and reuniting Jane Bennet with her suitor, Mr. Bingley, who was his best friend. So he really was the hero in that. He did what was right in the end. But in that same vein, you know, so again, you know, if you're talking about people, it can be someone who's the hero, someone who has had a victory, someone who's on top, or, you know, the king of the hill. But when you go ahead and start to talk about the 6 of Wands in reversed, the first meaning definitely, it relates to pride. And we talked about how, you know, you can be prideful when it's in the upright and it's the positive manifestation. But pride in the reverse can definitely be that kind of negative kind of manifestation, right? And of course, when a card is reversed, it can be either blocked energy or it can be the negative of that energy. So when you talk about pride, you know, it's interesting how, if you've ever read the classical novel of Dante's Inferno, he had listed the 7 deadly sins. And the first sin was pride. It was ego, right? So when you look at the 6 of Wands, you definitely see someone who's in their ego. It's someone who thinks they're better than everyone. Someone who has proven themselves to be better than anyone. But when you see the 6 of Wands in reverse, it's almost like that negative kind of pride that almost has been whipped into arrogance. This person feels like they're better than everyone. They might rub it in someone's face. If you see the 6 of Wands reversed next to maybe the 5 of Swords, oh my gosh, yeah, that would definitely be someone who is rubbing it in. I'm the best and you're not, you know? Where people are walking away feeling defeated and you're feeling like you're on top. The other thing with it is that one other thing we didn't touch on is that the 6 of Wands in upright can mean vindication. Like maybe there was something, and again with judgment, maybe there was something that you were accused of that was not the truth. If you see the Six of Wands next to the Ace of Swords, you know, the truth comes out, that everything is made clear and you are vindicated. Now, if you see the Six of Wands in reverse, it would be someone who is not vindicated. Maybe you've been made out to be something that you're not. Maybe people think that you're full of yourself and you're not. But you know, it's almost like your vindication is not coming. Like you know, you are not being cleared. You are not on top right now. Now, the other thing is with the Six of Wands in reverse, it definitely means someone who is full of themselves or someone who's acting negatively out of ego. The other thing is it can be someone who is purposely keeping someone else down in order to stay on top. And it could be looking, you know, it could be someone who's just looking for their own fulfillment. Like they have to be number one. If they're not number one, you know, so sometimes the Six of Wands in reverse can be that personality type where you can never, it's like when you're around this person, it can definitely be a narcissistic personality type where they have to be around people who are never better than them. Like they always have to be the best. If anybody comes up and tries to challenge them, then they can't handle it, right? So, you know, if you see this next to a court card, you know, like maybe even the, you know, King of Wands or Queen of Wands in reverse, that's going to be that would be almost a flat out pompous and arrogant person. Now, the other thing the Six of Wands in reverse can mean is that victory is eluding you, that you just can't win. I always think that when I see it, it's like, oh, I just can't win, right? I can't win for losing. It usually is that really frustrating and delayed success. You know, it's almost like, you know, maybe Mr. Darcy doesn't show up and make that proposal of marriage, or you're not vindicated. The things that need to happen are not happening. The other thing that it could be is that it could be that a rival prevails over you. Like you thought you were going to win and then you don't. And we did just How to Tarot on the Five of Wands last week. So if you see the Five of Wands next to the Six of Wands in reverse, it's almost like, yeah, that would be a rivalry or someone else, you know, kind of beating you out. Now, the other thing that it can be is that it can also be a blocked manifestation where maybe you don't feel good enough. You do not feel like this victorious person, right? Now, the other thing is I'm going to flip the vice versa over because the reversal, and the other thing that you can see here is that the reversal on the front, everything looks glowing and clean and red and vibrant, right? But then on the back, you see blood stains and you see, you know, smoke from burning. And what it typically means is that the Six of Wands is usually a hollow victory. It means a victory at a very, very deep cost. Like maybe you had to play dirty or, you know, be bloody at it. Again, someone who can't lose. The other thing is that sometimes it can mean that you don't feel like you're up to the challenge. Maybe you feel like a little bit of a shrinking violet, or like you don't have the resources. Or I also get just kind of that sense of futility. Like you feel like, what's the sense of me trying? I will never win. Why should I even go? Why should I even bother? You know, the other thing is that you could feel when you see the Six of Wands in reverse, you can feel like you're not getting any respect, like nobody is looking at you, like people are treating you like you're unimportant. You know, this could be in a relationship situation. It could be someone who's been ghosting you or just, you know, being condescending, giving you short one-word answers or just ignoring you. The other thing that it can mean is that it can definitely mean that, you know, it can in that sense also mean a little bit of infidelity. Again, we've talked about before that the Ace of Wands and definitely the single wand is a phallic symbol. So when you see the Six of Wands in reverse, it could definitely mean that someone is looking for victory somewhere else. You know, not to put it in kind of a, you know, mean, you know, stance that way, but, you know, also it's kind of like that. Not to sound funny, but if you've ever played the old Super NES, Super Nintendo game Duck Hunt, and remember how when you would miss the ducks, you know, like you were shooting at the ducks, and anytime you'd miss, that dog would pop up and start laughing at you. It's almost kind of like that. The Six of Wands in reverse is kind of like, oh, haha, better luck next time, right? So again, if you saw this card next to anything like the Five of Swords or maybe even the Three of Swords, that usually means that it's like, you know, kind of that, you know, kind of that Cupid doll, you know, obligatory, you know, here you go, good luck, you know, thanks for playing, you know. It is almost dismissive in its energy. But in that also sense that it can also be that it can be a lack of communication. If you see this around communication cards, a lot of times, again, you know, again, if you feel like maybe you are the victor, but you just don't even know it yet, like you feel like, you know, the other thing is, again, with the delay of recognition, you know, maybe you're due for a promotion at work and it's just not, you know, you keep being told, oh yeah, we'll give it to you, yeah, we'll give it to you, and it's just never coming, even though you've earned it, right? So a lot of times that's, you know, the Six of Wands in reverse can mean that. Now, you know, when it manifests as a person, the Six of Wands in reverse can definitely be that, you know, victory, someone who, I also often think of, you know, how there's a running joke about like what is it, Susan Lucci, who is a soap opera actress, and there's like a daytime Emmy award, and she's been nominated like 7 times, and she's never won. I don't even mean to joke about it because it's not funny. When you've worked in a career for so long and you've done such productive work, that would be kind of the Six of Wands in reverse manifesting as a person. It's like, okay, someone that it's almost become a pattern that they never win. Like Charlie Brown, you know, when, you know, Lucy, you know, puts up the football and he goes and he tries to kick it and she always pulls it away, you know. But definitely, you know, whether or not it's in the upright or in the reverse, the Six of Wands is a very, very strong and powerful card. It brings a lot of a sense of pride and victory and, you know, a sense of accomplishment. And I do always get a thrill every single time it comes up in a reading. All right, guys. So now that we've gone ahead and talked about all of the meanings, I will go ahead and let you choose your deck. If you need more time, please pause the video. I do ask that you just choose from your intuition. The first deck is the Rider-Waite-Smith with the Sunstone. The second deck is the Vice Versa Tarot with the really beautiful smoky quartz. And it looks gray, but it has brown undertones. It's a really beautiful stone. And then the third deck is the Jane Austen Tarot with the double pearl. And I'll give you a minute to pick, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll move our other decks up. I'm really excited to do this read just because I'm curious, you know, with all the world events, I really want to know what victory is coming, you know? When are we going to be victorious against everything that's going on, right? All right, so Rider-Waite-Smith, how is the Six of Wands manifesting in your life right now? Ooh, wow. And in the middle. Go ahead and go with this. the Emperor. Thank you. Wow, guys, I'm getting a very clear-cut message. There's a lot of fire. Oh my gosh, yeah. First off, I just want you to note how many red cloaks are in this, just like the red cloak on the Victory, on the Six of Wands. So I definitely get a strong sense you might be a fire sign. And we are seeing a king and an emperor, but you can be a woman watching this read in that energy. But definitely I see in the past, so what's leading up to this Six of Wands moment is you got the Hermit, and then you got the Ace of Swords, and you got the Fool. So in the past or recently, you've wanted a new start for something. You've really wanted a new beginning, and you got the Fool and you got the Ace. So what's happening is that in the recent past, something that has occurred recently, you really have an opportunity to start something new, start something completely afresh. And there's actually probably going to be a little bit of verbal buzz around this. Whatever's happening with you, it might be a little bit of a public kind of thing, like either that or just other people. Maybe it can be something that's just a buzz in your family, like maybe you got a promotion, or you've been doing, you've had several accomplishments lately. Maybe you're moving out into a new place, or again, I just feel like, there's kind of a buzz energy around you right now. But what you've done is that you've been keeping very quiet. It's almost like with all of this new energy, before you take any action, before you come trotting into your parade, you want to pull inward a little bit. You know that this is a beginning, but it's almost like you really want to think about it. You want to make sure that you're going about this new start in the right way. And I do see you doing a lot of reflecting about the past and, how you want things to be in the future, right? But I'm definitely getting a sense that this new beginning was probably a little bit quiet at first. Like you saw it coming and you knew what was going to happen. And you almost wanted to take some time to kind of pull into yourself and really reflect on all of the things that you've experienced up until now. So again, you've had like a mental breakthrough where you really, you're ready to make a new start, and you're in a really strong mental position to do something new, right? To do something new. And I do get the sense that there's going to be some kind of announcement. I'm getting a strong sense that there's going to be some kind of announcement. That could be an announcement, like you might notify your family of something that's going on, or it could be in a business sense. Maybe there's going to be an announcement that says, and it's almost like you're preparing for that. Like it's going to be a whole breakthrough, and it's going to be a really fresh new start, and you're really excited about it. But it's almost like you want to take this in kind of a very careful way. Now, presently, and directly under the Six of Wands, you got the King of Wands, and you got the Three of Cups. And again, the cloak, the red cloak of the victor in the Six of Wands is the same red cloak that we're seeing 4 times as we go forward. So, and the King of Wands is wearing red as well. He's very fiery, right? So it's almost like you've come out of hermit mode. And it is like you're having your moment in the sun. Whatever you're beginning is really coming to light now. And I do get a strong sense that maybe you're leading people. But the other thing with the Three of Cups is, again, these are victory cards, guys. It's like, it is almost like you came in on your own parade, you sat down on your throne, and everyone is toasting to you, right? You're surrounded, I have a feeling like you're surrounded by friends, or you're surrounded by colleagues that are very supportive and happy for you. But either that, or I just get the sense that you have become the King of Wands. Like, again, you have taken the action. you've done this job. So all of this victory is yours. All of this victory is yours outright. Like, you've earned it. Like, that same rod that Victor is carrying is what you're holding as you're sitting on your throne. And it is, I think that this is a present energy, and you're just celebrating. You've done the introspective work, you've done the physical work, and now you're just taking, you're a mature, you are, sorry, I'm not speaking well. You are being very mature in the actions that you're taking, and they are physical world actions, and you're definitely leading. I get a feeling that you're kind of leading by example. But right now is definitely a celebration time. It's almost like you've done a really good job and you're really getting the boons of it. Now, the only other thing that I can get from this is that the King of Wands is a very fiery character, and he can be very proud. Not in a bad way. He's a very warm person. He's a very generous person. But again, it's like everybody is celebrating him right now. Everyone is celebrating you right now. So you definitely feel like you're on a throne. Now, as we go forward, and the other thing that you notice is that there are salamanders and lions on the King of Wands throne, right? Which is a very Leo energy. It's very fire. But as we go into the future, and may I also note, again, we have more red cloaks. There's a lot of energy. There's so much energy here. I'm getting a very dry, hot, like almost white hot kind of energy here. There is a lot of action going on in this pile. But in the future, you got the Emperor, which is a very Aries sign. You see how he has rams all over his throne? And he's looking right at you, and then he's holding a staff that is the symbol of Egyptian gods for afterlife. It's like he's the eternal leader. He leads forever, right? And then underneath it, you got the Two of Wands. So definitely what I'm seeing here is I'm getting a strong vibe that you don't want this victory to be temporary. You want to continue to grow, and it's almost like you went from being the fool, you started off as the fool, and then you went on to become the King of Wands, and you're getting a lot of praise, right? You're a king now. You want this momentum to continue. You don't want this to be a one-time thing. You want to keep going, and you want to become the Emperor, right? And when you look at the Two of Wands, and we How to Tarot not too long ago on the Two of Wands, you see how he's looking at that other rod and looking into the future. He wants the world. He wants the world. And that's what you want. You want the world. He's holding like a globe in his hand too. He's holding a golden one, right? So definitely the way that the Six of Wands is manifesting is you do have a current victory, and you're seeing a lot of celebration with it right now. You're being a strong leader. You're being a strong leader, a vivacious one. You have a lot of warmth and energy, but you want to be more than a king. You want to keep going, and you want to become an emperor. You want to become the King of Kings. So this could be that you have your eyes on, maybe you're like now and you really want to be the CEO someday, or something like that. You just want to continue to grow. You want to be on that higher level where you want to be the highest that you can be. Now, the only other thing that I can say is that with all this energy, again, you have all these red cloaks. There's a lot of really hot fire energy. You got Leo, you got Aries, you got, red, you got victory. But I would say, there's no reversals here, but I would just say that yes, this can venture into the pride that comes along with the Six of Wands. It is completely okay to want to be the best, to always look ahead and look higher, aim higher. But I'm getting flat out ambition from this. This is really, really red hot ambition. and you're on track for it. But the only other thing that I see with the Two of Wands next to the Emperor, and again, more Wands energy, is that sometimes, and again, the Emperor is the top, right? It's the highest level you can get, but yet you have the Two of Wands next to it. Sometimes that that kind of gives me the inkling that maybe if you always strive to be better, to want more, sometimes you never achieve that. Not in a bad sense, not to say that you can't achieve what you set out to do. You can always set out, and especially with this much energy, there's no stopping you. But I would just say that, you know, the Emperor next to the Two of Wands is just kind of an energy. The Emperor is very, very focused. He commands, and he can be a little bit rigid sometimes. And sometimes if you're rigid about always going for the next thing, always, you know, let's go further, let's go forward, you know, always, you know, higher. That's what I'm hearing. Higher. I need to go higher. I need to go higher. Sometimes it might take you into a zone where, you know, the Emperor energy again he rules everything, but sometimes, you know, if you've seen those stories about, you know, men who becomes, you know, the owners of all, and then later they just feel like they might, you want to kind of question whether or not it would make you miss out on something else in life. Just because the Two of Wands is not a culmination, right? It's not, for you being an emperor in the future, for you being an emperor and still always looking ahead, okay, what's the better thing? Sometimes that can be kind of a little bit of a hamster wheel, like, you know, okay, what's the next best thing? I have to be the best, right? I always have to be on top. But there we go. But you always have to be on top. But sometimes you can't always stay on top forever, and sometimes that comes at a price. But I definitely see you capable of that, and I definitely see you having the wherewithal to plan. And the nice thing about the Two of Wands is that you have a clear vision of what you want to do next, which is an absolute excellent, that's a required skill if you're going to continue to grow and forge ahead. And that's a very Aries thing too, is forging ahead, always, you know, always going forward. But yeah, guys, but that's how the Six of Wands is manifesting in your life. That's very strong, and there's a lot of fire in that, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and deck number 2, the Vice Versa Tarot. And again, there is no formal card back to this deck. Each of the cards has, the back side has an image, and it's interpreted as being the reversal of the card. So deck number 2, how does the Six of Wands manifest in your life right now? Chariot kind of wanted to pop out. And the future. Oh. Please clarify. Sorry, I don't mean to keep humming in your ear. Okay, Two of Cups and the Six of Cups really wants to come out, and the Two of Wands and Four of Wands are kind of on the top there. Wow, guys. So yeah, so in the past we got the Seven of Pentacles. Let me make sure it's the right side. Okay, it is the reversal side. So in the past, you got the Seven of Pentacles in reversed. And so what that is that I am definitely getting a sense of a little bit of delayed victory, or a very hard-earned victory. In the past, you might have been working really hard for your money or things that you value. Maybe you've really been putting a lot of effort into your job, or saving up money to buy a home, or excuse me, hiccups. The Seven of Wands, Seven of Pentacles in reverse, really means someone who is evaluating what is growing in their life, and it really feels like it's blocked, right? Like when you look at the root of the tree, you see a little bit of a skull there, and everything looks misty and kind of barren. And this person, he looks disappointed. He's looking at the tree and he's just kind of like, wow, these fruits are just barely, they're barely making ends meet, or they're taking so long to grow. So in the past, I do feel like that you've been waiting and waiting and waiting for your harvest. You've been putting a lot of effort either into work or into your money or into your home. There's something that you've just been working and working and working and slaving away at, and it just doesn't seem like it's not giving you your victory. You're slaving away and you're just not getting the rewards that you needed, or that it doesn't seem to be coming fast enough. The other thing is that maybe you're looking at it and you're really scrutinizing the things in your life. You're starting to say, okay, I expected this to give me victory and it hasn't. So you could be debating whether or not you should just walk away, like, okay, is this what I've been doing? Is it even worth it? If I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm just going to get the same result, which is clearly not meeting my needs. So here I do get a sense like you're thinking about your victory. You want to know what would bring you your victory. Now in the middle column, you got Justice, you got the Four of Cups and the Three of Pentacles, but you got it in reverse. So you got Justice in reverse, and you got the Four of Cups and Three of Cups in reverse. Now, Justice in reverse can definitely mean there might be some kind of legal issue. There is some kind of decision. There's something that you are waiting to be resolved, and it seems like it's being delayed. And as soon as this, and again, we had several cup cards trying to come out, where it is kind of indicating that maybe something is riding on this, like your victory is riding on this combination. And you really feel like while you're waiting for this justice, for this verdict in the situation, you feel like your ship is sailing, right? You're getting your victory, you're waiting for your victory, but it's almost like you're at work, but you're working towards this victory again, with the Seven of Pentacles. Again, it's not coming very quickly. You're collaborating with people, but I am almost getting a vibe like you almost wish that you almost want to kind of work on your own. You don't want to work with other people so much. And again, these three cards are leading up to your victory. So, not to sound funny, but I really kind of get this feeling that this Justice card, the fact that it's delayed, what it is it's justice in the reverse, which means that justice, some kind of legal decision is delayed. I get a feeling as if that is giving you some kind of victory. Like there's something that's being delayed, and while it's pending or while it's waiting, it's giving you some kind of freedom, or it's giving you some kind of victory. But the only problem is that while you're waiting for this legal decision or this justice to finally be to come to fruition. You do have emotional things, and this could be relationships. It can be relationships with family. It could be relationships with a love interest that are starting to sail away from you. It's almost as if you're getting one victory, but at the cost of another, is what I'm hearing. And you are still working really hard, but you almost feel like you have to work alone. It's whatever this victory is. I do think that it's some kind of legal decision, possibly some kind of legal battle. If this is right, let me know. But while you are waiting, because the decision is taking some time, it's giving you time to work on your pentacles, but it is costing you. Maybe it's alienating people who are involved, or it's, because you were tied up in this situation, you're not able to work out other, relationships with people. And it is making you feel like you have to go it alone. Because the Three of Pentacles is a lack of cooperation, right? The other thing is that maybe you feel like, in order to have your victory, the decision has to be made and the ship is sailing, right? You don't have much time, and you can't continue to work by yourself. You need the cooperation of other people in order to have this victory. But as we move forward, we've got the Tower in reverse. And the Tower in reverse means that, and if you look at it, you see, this is a real powerful depiction. You see a cracked mask, and behind it, it's a hollow tower, right? It's empty. And you see the two sphinxes, which are from the Chariot, right? But on the front, it looks like it's a real, from the front, it looks like the tower is complete, like someone lives in it, right? But when you look in the back, it's empty, right? It was, and we How to Tarot on the Tower. It's a very powerful card. It just basically, it means that you're resisting, like there's some kind of resisting letting the tower crumble. And I am getting that strong because the Justice and the Tower are both in reverse, and those are major arcanas. So I do think that there's some kind of stalling here. And the stalling is making you look real good. Not in a bad way, but whatever it is, it's keeping you on top, right? It's keeping you on top. But the problem is that you're not going to be able to stay in limbo forever. You are going to have to let the tower crumble. And in order to get out of this stuck position with your Seven of Pentacles in reverse, in order for you to have the collaboration that you need and to catch that boat, you're going to need to let the tower crumble. You're going to have to let any faulty foundation fall. And the thing that it's telling me is you got the Ten of Pentacles. So I get the sense that, and the 10 really wanted to come out here. It wanted to come out between the 3, the 7, and the 4 of Cups. I do get a feeling that this is some kind of family situation. I do get the feeling like, also I think that maybe in whatever this situation is, it has you as the breadwinner, or it has you as the grandfather who takes care of everything. You're the person who takes care of everyone. But once this situation shakes loose, once the tower finally crumbles, that's not going to be the same situation anymore. But the benefit of that, the benefit of letting the tower fall, is that the justice will be served. Anyone who was not fairly treated, again, there will be penance for everyone who's involved. And the benefit of that is that even though it feels really uncomfortable, it's going to be uncomfortable. You might feel like you're giving up that glory. But by giving up the glory, you're doing the reset that you need to do, because you really don't want to resist the breakdown of this foundation. This foundation is crumbling. It's not going to last forever, and you need to just let it go. you need to let it go. And you will have, the thing is, once the beautiful thing about the Tower is that when you do, you know, it's amazing how, have you ever, we talked in the How to Tarot about how, have you ever seen the beautiful stories that came about people who rebuild after a storm? Sometimes when something comes through and wipes it out, it's like a hard reset. It takes you back to your cornerstones. But the cornerstones are your foundation, right? They're the core of you. And if you're resisting it, if something is sitting and holding down those cornerstones that isn't serving you, if you're not letting it go, if you're not letting the tower fall down, then you are not freeing yourself to build again, and you will end up remaining in this limbo. You know, it does give you glory, it makes you feel important, and maybe that might be what you're afraid of letting go. It's like, okay, but if I let this situation shake itself out, or if I let everything settle, if I let the tower fall, what if I'm not important anymore? But I can assure you that the universe works in very mysterious ways. And again, believe me, I know it's trite of me to say, well, just let it go, you know, blah, 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 because it's very unsettling, you know, it's uncertain, and but it's very clear, you know, the tower being in reverse, you know exactly what the situation is, and you know that it's dragging itself out. So, but by letting it go, you have a better chance of building again. Again, you can take the Ace of Pentacles and, you know, start again, and you will get that glory again. You know, it won't be in the same way, but you know, it's better to go ahead and build off a true foundation than letting anything, you know, remain in limbo. All right, guys, so that is how the Six of Wands is manifesting in your life, deck 2. That's really powerful energy. All right, so deck number 3, the Jane Austen Tarot. This is one of my favorite decks. It tends to be a little bit more romantic. And the Double Pearl. So, Six of Candlesticks. Deck 3, how is the Six of Candlesticks manifesting in your life? Six of Wands. Victory card. Deck 3, how is the Six of... clarify. Okay, wow. Yeah, the Jane Austen usually does kind of mean have a little bit more of a romantic connotation, but all right, I am definitely getting a theme here. So your Six of Candlesticks, your Six of Wands, deck 3. In the past, you got the Two of Candlesticks and you got the Seven of Quills. And the Two of Candlesticks is that thinking about the future and, you know, deciding where you're going to go. In the scene, it is the scene from Sense and Sensibility when, Eleanor and Mary Ann Dashwood they're in their father's study, and they're kind of packing up the last of their belongings. They have very little time to get packed and get moved on to where they're going, and it's a very tough time because they're kind of being thrown out of their house very rapidly, shortly after losing their father, after their father passed away. And they have to move to a little seaside cottage because what it is that in Jane Austen's time, families of affluence, if homes were not left to women. So in Sense and Sensibility, their father, Mr. Dashwood, he had one son from a previous marriage. Then he married again, and he had 3 daughters. And the Dashwood sisters are not entitled to anything because they are not the male heir. So what they're doing here is that, just like the Two of Wands, they are deciding, they're deciding whether or not they try to stay and fight for the one wand, which is not likely to give them anything. They're kind of in the situation, or they're trying to look ahead to the other wand, which is okay. Things are going to be very different now, but it could be exciting. Maybe this is a pivotal. They're trying to be optimistic and look to the future. Now, underneath it, it's great because they have another character from the same story. But what is it? This is the Seven of Quills in this one is that I honestly don't see her too much as a Seven of Swords character, but she is. She's just, she's meddlesome. But the Seven of Quills is when it is that evasive card. It's the, kind of sneaking away. It's it is the double agent card, right? So in this context, this character very much is like that. Mrs. Jennings, there we go. So Mrs. Jennings is a busybody. She has all the time in the world. She has nothing better to do than be up in everybody's business. And what she likes to do is she's got a very warm manner about her, but what she does is she gets close to you to get information about you, and then, then she'll turn and, tell the world about what your business is, right? She just likes being up in the ice cream. She doesn't care what the flavor is. And what it is that, the Two of Candlesticks and the Seven of Quills, the Seven of Quills is that a little bit of that evasive card. It's like, okay, let me get close to you for what I want, and then let me sneak away. Because the other thing is that in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, the Seven of Swords is that person sneaking away from the camp with all the swords, right? He's stealing, right? It's a little bit of the thief card, and in that sense, she is a little bit of a thief. She gets her information, and then she uses it to her own means. But in this situation, the Lady of Quills wanted to come out at an angle, right? The Lady of Quills came up blocking Mrs. Jennings, right? So the Lady of Quills is blocking this energy. And again, I'll hold the two quills up to each other so you can see what I'm talking about. It's someone who's again a double agent. He's come into the camp. He's befriended everyone. He's able to sneak away with the swords, with the thoughts, with the data, with the tea, and then he sneaks away. So what's happening here is, in your past, the past of your victory is you may have had a choice between two situations. Honestly, I'm getting a vibe like you might have been in a really tough situation, that it might have been a tough choice where you're in one situation, but you really have to move to another kind of quickly. And you're trying to see the positive in the new situation, which is really tough, in your circumstance. And I think that you really want to be in the Seven of Quills energy, not in a bad way, but it's kind of like, it is also kind of like the I don't want to deal, I just kind of, if anything, I do kind of feel like it's almost as if you do kind of want to take what you can from the current situation or the current relationship, and then just kind of sneak away, just like Mrs. Jennings. Okay, let me get close to you, let me get the skinny, get the tea, and then go ahead and then I'm not your friend anymore. But what I'm seeing is that this energy is being blocked by the Lady of Quills. And the Lady of Quills is the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is a no-nonsense woman. She really, the Queen of Swords is about boundaries. So here, I really get the feeling as if I'm reading this one of two ways. Either you're in a really tough situation that's forcing you to look at new horizons, you have to take a course of action towards something new, and this might be kind of abrupt, and it's a hard choice. You don't really have a choice to stay where you're at, and it is kind of tempting you to be a little bit petty about it, not in a bad way, but seriously, we've all been there, right? We've all been there. Maybe, to put in kind of a modern context, maybe your employer was really crappy to you. They didn't take care of you at all, and then all of a sudden they're laying you off, but then you have to decide whether or not you're giving them 2 weeks notice or not, or whether or not you can just tell them, okay, never mind, I'm not giving you 2 weeks. You weren't kind to me, so I'm not going to be kind to you. I'm just going to up and leave now. So it's kind of like that energy. It's kind of like it's almost like you kind of are tempted to be a little two-faced with it, but you're being, that energy of wanting to just, okay, let me up and leave now, is being blocked by the Lady of Quills. So I do think that you're forcing yourself to be emotionally, it's almost like you're not going with your fickle emotions. You're putting up boundaries where you're like, okay, I'm better than this. I'm not just going to sneak away and not do my due diligence. So you are thinking about it. You're putting the Queen of Quills, the Queen of Swords, is the emotional. She is the mental, intellectual nurturer. So here, I feel like you're putting your emotions into perspective. It's almost like you're saying, okay, yes, this is a crappy situation, but I'm not going to compromise my integrity. I'm going to do the right thing, right? I'm going to do the right thing. Maybe the right thing is having a conversation with the person who's putting you in the tough situation. So what you're doing is you're doing your best to not be that sneak away person, right? You're trying not to, the other way that I read this too is that maybe you started to do that a little bit, or one other way I can read this is that the person who put you in the position might be doing this to you. They might be the petty one who's trying to be a double agent. Maybe they're being all sweet to your face, but then they're turning around and giving your thoughts or energies to the other side, so to speak. But you are coming across in a very level energy. The Queen of Swords has that sword out in front of her. Nobody lies to the Queen of Swords. No one gets over on the Queen of Swords. She is emotionally intellectual in the way that she handles things, and she's very, very fair. And as a sun sign Libra, this is my girl. So the other thing is that almost like justice, So again, the two ways you can read it, maybe you were put in a rough situation, you're trying to see the silver lining, you're trying to look forward to the other rod, the other action that you have in your future. But you are very tempted because you haven't been treated real fairly. You're tempted to be a little to steal away, but you're not allowing yourself to be in that energy. You say, okay, instead, let me be fair, let me be impartial, let me just walk the line. Let me be like a judge and really, come across in the very cerebral energy of, I'm going to do what's right. The other thing is maybe you were someone in this situation was in that energy and you blocked it with your boundaries. You said, no, you're not going to act like that. I'm not going to allow you to act like that. I'm getting like you kept it classy. That's what I'm hearing. You kept it classy, even though it was a crappy situation. Now, currently, under the Six of Wands, you got the Knight of Candlesticks, the Lord of Candlesticks, and oh, this is Frederick Wentworth. I love me some Frederick Wentworth. And then you got the Six of Coins. So here, guys, again, more fire energy. This is some straight up fire, and you do also have a red, you have a red uniform there. So, I get the energy, like, again, you started off as a knight and Six of Coins. It's interesting. This has been kind of a common denominator. I keep seeing the King of Wands next to the Knight of Wands. And so I wonder if I'm picking up, because it's been kind of a story week after week. One of the piles has had these two characters. So I am getting kind of sense that it's either you and another person, or this is you and your energy, like you're really going after something. But the Knight of Candlesticks is driving a coach, and I definitely just get the sense that you have been full speed ahead. You've been working hard. Maybe you put with all this crappiness in the past, you might have really thrown yourself into work. The other thing is that I see that you really kind of put your eyes on a goal. And remember how we talked about, the Six of Wands is victory. It's that you really applied yourself and you did what was right. The other thing is, again, in this story, remember how we talked about Mr. Darcy. At first, Mr. Darcy had discouraged his friend Charles Bingley from proposing to Jane Bennet. And these two, Bennet and Jane were in love. Bingley and Jane were in love, and Darcy knew that, and he separated them. But by the end of the book, he comes back and he says, no, I was wrong. She does love you. You should do, if you care for her, you should do what you wanted to in the beginning and propose. So here it's him making it right. Mr. Darcy was making it right. You have the two men in this. That's a unique facet of this card, is that there are two kind of heroes. Darcy is the more prominent. You can see he's wearing the red cloak. He's really more the one and you can see he's higher on this horse. He's high on his horse. So it is entirely possible that this past situation, you did keep it classy, and now you and a friend, I really get the sense that you're making it right? You've taken the best out of this crappy situation and you ran with it. And the other thing that I see you doing, and I do see a second person here, I really get the feeling that the Knight of Candlesticks and the King of Rods and the Knight of Rods really feel like two different people. One might be a little bit more youthful, and then the other one is very mature. He's very kingly. But I definitely get the sense that I think your victory in this situation is that you didn't let this situation get to you. You did go ahead and pursue your other rod. You threw yourself into work. You threw yourself into this other option, this other future. And the thing that I'm getting here, though, is that you had other obligations throughout this whole situation. It is almost like throughout this whole situation, it's almost like you had to decide where you were putting your energy, because we have the Two of Wands here, and then you have the Six of Coins, which is really, you see someone, you're making something level, you're making something fair, you're making something right. So If you are a man watching this reading, I see one man and two women, and I do see one that you might have had to sneak away from in order to make something, to fix a situation, some kind of financial situation that you had to make amends. You had to pay back what was owed. You had to fix that. There was something that had gone wrong in the beginning, and you needed to fix it. and then that's what you're doing presently. You're working really hard. The other thing about the Knight of Wands is that it is like full speed ahead. You're throwing all of your energy into this, into fixing the problem, and you've gained, again, with the Six of being the accomplishment card and it being the King of Wands, you're getting a lot of attention. Again, this is Captain Wentworth. I think you're almost earning a lot of acclaim. I'm really getting kind of a work context. I feel like you're doing your duty. You're doing your duty, and you're making things right. And you're being fair with people. You're paying back what needs to be paid back. It's almost like you're not allowing yourself to owe anyone, right? But I do also get the sense that you're not, again, you were kind of forced into this situation, but you're making it right. You're leveling. You're doing the right thing in order to bring everything back into balance. And then in the future, you got the Lady of Teacups, you got the Queen of Cups, and underneath it you got the Magician and the Three of Pentacles. So again, I'm seeing kind of different people. The other thing about the Queen of Cups is that there is someone leaving in the background, and you can see she's a little bit upset. I think what it is that, but the Queen of Cups is she's a very gentle character, and she's very loving. But I do think that, again, in something in this situation of making everything right, there might be two women involved in this. You could be a woman watching this read and be in the King of Wands energy, but I do just get the sense that there was some kind of sudden action that, again, made you want to kind of shy away or just look after your own interests, but you refused. You didn't let yourself fall into that energy, and you kept it classy. You kept yourself on the mental level. And then currently you've been working hard. You've been doing the work to level out this situation, even though it was not necessarily fair. You're making it fair. And in the future, I do see you becoming a lot more emotionally open, especially after everything that you've been through. It's almost like after all of that mental guard, having that mental guard up, you're gonna soften again. You're gonna be open to all of the things. I think you're gonna feel safe again. Once you get yourself established and you're feeling that victory. You're accomplishing a lot right now. And you're gonna be emotionally in a good place. But I do also get the feeling like there's someone else here that really, I'll get a little bit more clarification on the Queen of Cups in a minute, but so moving forward, you got the Magician and you got the Three of Pentacles. I'm sorry, we were out of focus there. But the Magician is the creator card. You can manifest. And the Three of Pentacles is cooperation between people. So I really do get the feeling that this could possibly be some kind of dynamic, some kind of falling out between people. I am, again, with the Mr. Darcy and Mr. Bingley situation, I think that maybe it's just kind of clashing personalities. And in the past, it's almost like you wanted to drop the person who was, being drama. It's almost like you really wanted to just drop them, but you didn't. You kept it classy and you said, okay, let's bring everyone together. But you had to kind of work hard to do that. You had to exert a lot of energy, and you had to possibly pay back some debts, or you had to make the situation right. And now, once the situation is correct and you've gotten your victory, you can move forward to including the other person. Maybe someone was excluded. either that, or if it's you, just moving forward, you're going to feel safe enough again. It's almost like you're going to feel like you're in a good place to manifest something new, or, you know, just you're going to feel like you want to include people again, which I know sometimes when you go through a rough falling out, you feel like, okay, I don't need anybody. I never want to deal with anyone ever again, right? You know, the first pile kind of had that with the Emperor. I don't need to deal with anybody. It's just, you know, just me. But here, I don't get that sense. I really do get the feeling like, you know, moving forward, you will have a good collaboration, and you're going to be more emotionally open to that. You know, either that, or there's somebody who's been kind of left in the dark about what was going on, and you'll be actually able to reach out to them and get them, you know, where everybody is on the same page and everybody is manifesting together. But that's a great accomplishment, and that actually makes a lot of sense, because with Mr. Darcy, he was making it right for like probably about 4 different couples. Like, he was the leader in fixing relationships, right? And he's still a man's man, right? He's not a soft guy, and he was going around and just making sure that everyone ended up where they were supposed to be and with the person they were supposed to be with. So that is a great victory. And if you're doing that, and especially with the Magician, you know, you can see he's talking to people and, you know, getting them to cooperate and work together. I think that is a great accomplishment, and that makes perfect sense. All right, so deck number 3, that was your read. That's how the Six of Wands manifests in your life. Well, wow, guys, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't get too long-winded with that. The How to Tarots do run a little bit longer, but I hope that you can join me this Saturday. We're going to be doing our weekly energy card reading. Also, in between these reads, I am going to try to do more kind of specialty reads. Oh, sorry. If you have any ideas for subjects that you would like us to read on, like, you know, just like our pick a card, what are they saying about you? If you have any theme like that you want us to do, please leave a comment. I would be very honored if you would like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content of my channel. I hope you have a good rest of your week, and I hope to see you again on Saturday. Catch you later. Bye.